Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Furman Athletics. I am Dan Scott, voice of the Paladins. As always, it is great to be with you. And it's that time of year, and a lot of you have been waiting for great weather to go out and chase the little white ball around. We've got a guy here who obviously did it for quite a while, both at Furman and professionally, and now he's coaching other people to do it. And the Furman men's golf team is off to a good start in this spring season. This is Matt Davidson. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Dan. Doing well. Thank you.
Yeah, it's always nice when the weather warms up. I'm sure some of the early tournaments, your guys are kind of bundled up a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's been really, it's the last few events, it's been beautiful when we've been home, and then we've gone to the tournament. We haven't had any rain, but it has actually been pretty chilly still down in Myrtle Beach and Charleston, kind of like upper 50s and blowing a little bit, but so we haven't caught any of this, days like today on the road yet. But it's been pretty good.
They're coming.
Yeah,
They're coming. So
yeah.
I guess you just tell yourself, hey, if we play as well as we've played in somewhat adverse conditions, what's it going to look like when it's 80 degrees and no wind and that kind of thing?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. The wind's always a factor this time of year when we're on the road, for sure. Yep.
Well, first of all, how have you been? How are things in Matt Davidson's life?
Everything's good. Yeah, it's busy. 6 and 9-year-old boys. My wife here, obviously working at Furman, and then in the spring seasons, the fall we travel a little bit, but the spring is when we get stretches where I'm gone for 8, 9 out of 11 days, like I was the last couple weeks. So busy for both of us.
Yeah. So she's basically playing defense right now.
She is. My parents live in. They're probably the biggest Furman Athletics fans going. They go to everything. But they live in Greenville, so they help out a bunch.
Nice.
But we get by. It's tricky though.
That's the role that my wife and I are in with our grandkids who live between 10 and 30 minutes from us.
Yeah.
And the prevailing comment that we get from our daughters, if my wife and I are going to go do something, it's, well, who's going to watch these kids?
I know.
It's,
your grandparents living in the same town are a godsend. Yeah, we sit down with a calendar with my parents, and they tell us, we're going on vacation this week, we're going here on this week, and then we have to work around their vacations because we know we don't have the extra help.
That's funny, and way too true, as it turned out. So let's backtrack a little bit. How was the fall portion of your schedule?
Yeah, so it was the first 2 events were rough. So we got off to a slow start up in Minnesota, and then the second event was actually a Wake Forest event. They were hosting it in Chicago. So Minnesota and then Chicago, a tough start. The guys were playing golf all summer, but they had some mixed results, which they often play better at Furman here in school than they do when they're competing all summer. For some reason, which I guess that if you're going to do it one way, I would prefer it that way. But they so I wasn't hugely concerned, but they came in just a little off, and we get going right when we start in the fall. We're right to a golf tournament. So the first 2 events were a tough start, and then we had 2 weeks off, and guys, we sharpened up a lot of stuff that they had to work on, and it's been really solid ever since. So we've had a really good end of the fall, a really solid spring. Tricky part is those 2 tournaments. The ranking system is based off points, and it's an average of your points per event. So those 2 events aren't going anywhere on our ledger. So it's gotten us behind the 8 ball compared to where we were last year with getting an at-large bid and things like that. But we've battled, and we've played golf, and we're probably a little better than our ranking right now with the way we're playing right now.
Do you find maybe? And you can tell me how this works, when they go off for the summer, are they playing in tournaments every weekend and maybe not getting the kind of practice time working on different aspects of their game that you might get? You said you had 2 weeks to sharpen things up.
Yeah.
Is that what their summer is like?
They play a lot, but they also have time to practice too. Yeah, we help the guys kind of set their schedules at the end of the spring for their summer. And I like for them to use the summer as obviously a time to compete, because there's a lot of great amateur tournaments for them to play in, and they're trying to accomplish things as amateur golfers as well, and playing some big tournaments, but try to have them still have time. First of all, have time to kind of like, especially sort of at the beginning of the summer, have some time to relax a little bit, but then also have time to work with their swing instructors, to work on their games, and have breaks in there to practice on things. So But yeah, for some reason or another, we weren't quite clicking right at the start of the fall, and those two tournaments are still costing us a little bit, but a lot of resilience bouncing back from that, and have kind of improved throughout the whole season to the point where we're still we're on the outside looking in for a bid right now, but we're still we still have a chance.
So, what did, in your estimation, getting the at-large bid for the men's team last year mean in the long-term view of the program? I mean, it's got to make the guys hungry.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, it's a goal every year to play in the postseason, and our ultimate goal is to get past that regional, which we were in last year, and get all the way to the NCAA finals, where it's just 30 teams each year competing. The Furman, we haven't done that as a golf program, as a men's golf program, since they had this regional. We did it back when teams went straight to the NCAAs in the kind of the 60s and the 70s, but current format, and that's the main goal. So to get all the way to the NCAA finals, you got to get to the regionals again. And it helps obviously with getting back into tournaments throughout the year and recruiting and things like that. But more than anything, it gets the guys hungry to get back to the regional, to try to play a little bit better at the regional and get all the way to the NCAA finals.
So what's the landscape of the Southern Conference? Because you can avoid all of this other stuff if you just go win the conference, right? Like It's that simple.
Yeah, yeah, not that simple. Yeah, so it's playing out pretty similar to last year, where East Tennessee State last year, East Tennessee State, Chattanooga, Furman, us, and UNC Greensboro all made it to regionals. So four teams came out of the mid-major conference, Southern Conference. So it's kind of incredibly strong golf conference right now. And then East Tennessee State and Chattanooga both made it all the way to the NCAA finals, which is obviously our goal. So they came back this year. I think East Tennessee State's about 16th in the rankings right now in the nation, and Chattanooga and UNC Greensboro are both in the top 50, and then we're at 74 right now. And usually about 65 teams make it to the at-large bid. So we're the ones that need to make up some ground the next two tournaments. But we've had, if we play well at conference in 3 weeks, I think we'll be in the mix for sure. We beat East Tennessee State 3 weeks ago at Coastal Carolina's event on a neutral site. We've lost to them 2 other times this year, and then Chattanooga we've seen twice this year, and we beat them both times. We have not seen UNC Greensboro yet, so I feel like this year we've kind of hung tough and gone back and forth. Obviously both those Chattanooga ones were incredibly close. They were a heck of a team, and East Tennessee State's always tough. But I think we have a team now this year where if we play well, and we were in the mix last year. I think we were third, but East Tennessee State, Chattanooga, and us had kind of separated from everybody. So we like the course, and that is the I guess it's the easier way to do it, just because it's only 3 days.
Right,
you can just get it over with. But it's a competitive conference.
As if anything in golf is easy, right?
I know, yeah, it's competitive.
Matt Davidson with us on this week's edition of Inside Furman Athletics. The general hacker tournament that just wrapped up is one where you finished third, and in doing so, you were able to finish ahead of some of that competition we were just talking about.
That was the one where I think East Tennessee State came in 4th and Chattanooga came in 5th. So just which was, I think it was big for the guys' confidence. They know if they play well that they can beat those teams, and we'll need that in a few weeks.
Well, when you're talking about consistency, though, your top 4 finish in 3 of your 4 spring tournaments, so it speaks to what you were talking about a moment ago, getting better as the season has gone on.
Yeah, and we to finish out the fall, we came in 5th at East Tennessee State's event, which was a good field, and then we finished with a win at the Furman tournament, which had Chattanooga and Texas A&M in the field. So so we've strung together a nice little run. We did not play as well this past week in Charleston, so it was a little bit of a blip, but it's definitely we've been pretty consistently trending in a nice direction, and but just two tournaments left now, so it's kind of down to the wire now. And they need to make something happen.
Coming down to it. So who has kind of led the charge for you?
Yeah, so it's been an interesting year compared to the previous. Basically my whole time I've been here, I've had Keller Harper for years, where you just could kind of plug him in as being in the top 10 or in contention every week, and then Jack Crosby had a year like that, and now Will Moreland last year was unbelievable. He had just an incredible year last year where he really carried us. And then this year, certainly Will has played very consistently. He hasn't had the high finishes like he did last year, though. And then Harris Barth has had some nice finishes. Trey Deals had good finishes. Ross Funderburk, Walker Crosby, Clark Akers. Demi DiMatteo's contributed. Zach Frazier's gotten in for a couple. We've basically had 8 guys that have played probably at least 3 tournaments in the lineup. And only 5 guys playing the lineup every week. So it's been more of a year of depth and different guys each week. Like you can kind of, there's been weeks where 1 through 5, you don't really know who's gonna step up and play well, which is it's been nice, and I think that's shows the progression of the program with the depth there, with the recruiting and guys developing, where you can have a lot of guys that can contribute. But certainly we're I think Will looks like he's so close right now.
Yeah,
so he
I was
might
going
be
to
about
say
to break, and Harris is close. So I think it will. A lot of guys close to those breakthrough finishing. Clark Akers came in 3rd place in Myrtle Beach, and that's been our best individual event of the year. So guys are close, but it's been, as far as our team results has been, it's been more of like a lot of guys contributing compared to previous years.
Well, on one hand, as a coach, you want that depth. You want to be able to get competitive scoring 1 through 5, but it doesn't hurt to have that bell cow you can latch on to. Either does it?
It does. I think last year, looking back on it, if Will had just had a couple off tournaments and middle of the pack a few times, we would have been ranked certainly worse than we are right now. He really, especially in the fall last year, just carried us, and now it's been more well-rounded this year. And then I think but we do have guys, and Will included, that look like they're ready to really pop and start contending for the individual wins, like Clark did a few weeks ago, but have more guys do it more consistently.
Well, I suppose if guys are waiting to do their best shot making, 3 weeks is the time to do it, right? When you get to the SoCon
this
tournament.
Is the time, Well, next week in Vanderbilt is a big one for us, as far as it's a great opportunity with the strength of the field. With Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, and Alabama are all going to be there, and they're the 3 top 10 teams in the nation. So it'll be a great opportunity as far as if we do play well, setting us up for getting back in, on the bubble or inside the bubble for that bid. And then 3 weeks, like we talked about, that's the way that you can get that automatic bid, and if you play well in 3 weeks.
So is it just the Vanderbilt tournament and then the conference?
It is, yeah, just 2 more.
So this is it.
This is it, 2 more. Yeah, 2 big weeks.
So no time like the present.
No time like the present. Yep.
What do you find as far as the challenge of different courses that you play? Do you play same courses when you go to different places every year, or do you see a different set of courses every season?
Yeah, so I'd say we right now we're probably playing about 2/3 of the same tournaments every year. I think when I first took over about 6 years ago, we're probably only playing in about 1 of the same tournaments as we did then. But every year we've kind of we've switched out 1 or 2 tournaments, trying to get in some stronger fields, and we've got it to the point now where it's a really appropriately competitive schedule, and we like it a lot. So we do play probably at least half, or maybe a smidge more than half, of the same courses each year. So it's nice to go back. You got your notes from the previous year, and the guys who played the previous year have some familiarity, and then the ones that haven't have the other guys to kind of coach them around. So it gets a little bit easier. But there's a wide range of courses we play, though. Some
right.
Short, tight ones, some long, wide ones. So they've got to adjust their games a little bit as well.
Is there a particular type of course that fits the strength of your team?
We've played pretty nicely on different types of courses, actually. We do have, a lot of the guys are pretty long, I'd say, longer than average college, right now at least. We got some long hitters, so I'd like to say some longer courses might suit us pretty well, but at the same time, we've play pretty well on some shorter ones because some of those longer guys can just hit irons off the tees and can still be an advantage. So I wouldn't say anything has suited us, too much better than others.
Visiting with Matt Davidson, men's golf coach here at Furman, as we get into wrap-up mode on this week's edition of Inside Furman Athletics. Golf is unique in a lot of ways, obviously, but at the collegiate level, maybe even more so, because if you're talking about virtually any other sport on this campus, with the possible exception of cross country, your schedule is split evenly between playing at home and playing on the road. You've got one home match.
Yep.
Your entire season, fall and spring.
Yeah, and thankfully we have that one. Like some schools don't even host a tournament, so they're always on the road, and it's nice to have a course like we do, the Furman University course on campus. We host a nice event with about 15 teams every year. So it's nice to have that, and it's an advantage whenever you're playing them. I mean, you're playing a course that our guys play 100 times a year, so it's an advantage. But otherwise, you're going to these other schools. There's one school every week that has a pretty big advantage playing either their home course or a course that they've locally that they played a lot. Like this week, Vanderbilt on their home course. I think they're number 3 team in the nation right now. So that's a scary proposition with a lineup like they have on a course they play probably 100 times a year. So it's an advantage. So it's nice playing that one tournament at home. But everybody everybody pretty much just plays one home event and then goes elsewhere.
Where is the Southern Conference tournament?
It's at Reynolds Lake Oconee at the Oconee course. They've got about 5 courses down there, and we play.
And that's where?
It's in. It's kind of outside Athens. It's at Reynolds. It used to be called Reynolds Plantation. It's called Reynolds Lake Oconee now. So about Lake Oconee. So near Athens, about 3 hours away. Beautiful, kind of lake, and there's not a ton down there other than that resort and the golf and the lake. And but this time of year, it's pretty, and it's a very nice golf course, and it's a solid test. So it's been a place that's kind of rewarded the better teams each year, and it's hard enough where the scores separate pretty well, which is what you want, especially if you're one of the better teams. So it's been a good venue. I think this is our 4th year going back there. So some familiarity, and then it's tough enough to kind of reward. You don't want anything too easy where you can kind of log jam the scores up, and you want to separate the scores a little bit, which it does.
So how does it work as far as the conference? Does that course bid to get it for X number of years? Does it come up for bid every year? How does you say this will be the 4th year?
Yeah, they had about I think the SoCon had a 3-year contract, and then they were managed to kind of secure it again for I think 3 more years. So I think this is year 2 of that.
And you're happy with
cycle. We are, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But as long as the conference could make it work, as far as the deal could work out well for everybody financially, because it is a very nice club, and golf is not getting any less expensive. But the coaches we were all happy with it just because it's decently centrally located, and but more than anything, it's a quality golf course, which is what you want for that tournament.
Yeah, spoiler alert, nothing is getting less expensive. not just in the world of golf, but anything.
Yeah, it's busy. Golf is busy right now.
Yeah, the state that we live in. All right, so what are the days and times of the Vanderbilt tournament?
Yeah, so we leave for Vanderbilt tomorrow, and it's a practice round Thursday, and then the tournament's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we have a week off at home, and then the conference is the weekend after that, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So I think that's April 21, 22, 23.
Yeah.
And then hopefully some more golf if we can either get a bid or win the conference.
Well, we will encourage folks to follow everything that's going on with the Vanderbilt tournament and the SoCon tournament. I would love to have you travel and go watch them in person, but you can find all the information about how to watch, follow the scores at FurmanPaladins.com. Just navigate to the men's golf page and the schedule, and you'll be able to get all of that information there. And It's a fun time of year for you, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We yeah, it's a lot of hard work goes through the in the fall and then even in the winter. These guys are out there in the cold in January and February and practicing and it does all culminate in with basically the conference championship. And so it's the guys, I think they try not to heap a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we try not to either. We try to view it all as it's just every week at this point is a great opportunity to kind of change your season, and that's all it is. Just embrace that, and it's a great chance to do something big.
Yeah, and we tend to couch this part of a conversation mostly around football and basketball because those are the higher profile sports across the country. When we say it's a year-round sport, there's really no off season, but it's that way for a college athlete nowadays, regardless of the sport. I mean, you are working on your craft either under the supervision of the coaches or on your own.
Yeah.
Every day, pretty much around the clock.
Yeah, I mean, we're as college coaches, we like to give these guys downtime, and we have to. They got NCAA rules about that, so. So really for us, it's November and kind of a couple weeks in December where the guys are pretty, very little that we, have them do, but they're still out there basically every
Grinding
day practicing.
away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, listen, it's always great to catch up with you.
Thanks, Dan.
Hope that everything goes well at Vandy and just take all the guesswork out of it. Just go win the SoCon.
That's right.
How about that?
That's the plan.
No
That's the plan.
pressure.
Yeah, no, we'll try.
That is Matt
Thanks, Dan.
Davidson. This has been Inside Furman Athletics. Thank you for joining us this week. Look forward to having you back with us again next week. Until then, for Matt and all of us at Furman, I'm Dan Scott, saying God bless you and so long, everybody.